What is up, gangsters? Today's story is one I've told a few times, and it's a little bit weird, but it's a true story. Our story takes place in the late 90s, and I was still in high school, working 2 jobs, 7 days a week. I was driving an 86 Chevy Sprint, which is the sister car to the Firefly, if you know that better. It was a 5-door, 5-speed with a massive 1-liter 3-cylinder engine. One of my jobs was delivering pizza. I'd recently had the clutch done and popped the poor little car over 200,000 K. All of a sudden, the car was down on power. I don't know how many ponies it had from factory, but it wasn't many. At this point, I was pretty sure most of them had run away, and the ones that were left were quite sick. I probably could have solved the problem by cutting off the no doubt clogged cat, or cleaning or changing the clogged PCV valves. But no, I reached for my favorite rag, Auto Trader. Pretty sure it was $250 a week, and I've bought and sold many cars with them. If memory serves, they were sold in 3 separate issues, 25 and under, 25 to 5,000, and 5,000 and over. As I was still in school and I hadn't had an accident, my insurance was $365 a month. Completely reasonable. So I bought the 2500 and under, but all I needed was the 500 and under. But that's not how this rag worked. First come, first publicized. So I would go through the whole issue looking for what I could afford and circling phone numbers. I start calling people and I'm trying to get a partial trade so I could have a few bucks left over to fix whatever I inherited. I get a call back while I'm making calls. It was for a white K platform, and they were willing to negotiate on a trade. Now, for the uninitiated, the K platform was nearly every car in the Chrysler lineup in the mid-80s. This shining gem was an 85 Chrysler LeBaron Turbo convertible. I asked for the address and head over right away. It was an address in Marlborough. For those of you who don't live in Calgary, it's not the worst neighborhood, but it's pretty close to the bottom of the list. I was instructed to pull up in the alley, and as I roll up, one of the doors to the double garage is open. I walk into the garage and they appear to be finishing an oil change. There's a few Telltale cans hanging around. I have a poke around the engine bay like I know what I'm looking for. Kick the tires, have a look at the rips in the top. The interior looks okay, and the tent folds down. Good enough for my needs, so I asked for a test drive. I was granted that, but only in the alley as it wasn't registered or insured. So I took it to the end of the alley and back. I checked the suspension, brakes, acceleration, and even had a look out the back to check for smoke. Suspension was good, brakes were good, acceleration was okay, and there was a touch of smoke. Now, cars in this price range would blow a little, and it's kind of expected to have some pollution belching out of the back. Now, these suspect cans I spoke of were very familiar to me. It was a mechanic in a can. They were great for keeping smoke levels down and many various junk piles. I was happy with it, and we agreed on a trade plus $150, so I swapped plates. I was happy to be rid of my highly problematic car, and I was only down $150. Now, I was in my new car, my first convertible, my first turbo, my first white car. The plan was simple: top down and drive down Memorial West to Crowchild South, then Glenmore West and home in Glenbrook. I'm feeling like the cat who got the cream. Nice day, top down, no traffic, which was weird for an early Saturday afternoon. I passed downtown and I passed CVC. Coming up on the Crowchild off-ramp, and I look back. It's like a James Bond smokescreen. Well, that's why no one was passing me. I get on the off-ramp and make it to the yield at the bottom to get onto Crowchild, and I hear the sound that no driver wants to hear. Whoop whoop! Oh yes, a paddy wagon found me, somehow. And me with no insurance, no registration, a plate for a very different pile of shit, and an exhaust puffing away like the Kuwaiti oil fields. I was aware I wasn't in a great position. Young, dumb, broke, and my ducks were running loose. The officer walks up to my car and starts tearing up one side of me and down the other about how far back the smoke screen went. I look up to the overpass and the smoke was still lingering. I look back at the cop and explain that I just bought the car about 20 minutes ago. He asks for my paperwork and I grit my teeth and pass him insurance papers for a very different car and a bill of sale torn out of the back of an auto trader. He looks at the mess I handed him and he looks at me. He's not happy, but he's not mad. He takes it back to the van and disappears. I sit there embarrassed as everyone who had driven through my burning oil refinery gives me a look and a gesture, even some new ones I haven't seen before or since. The cop has been in the mobile oppression palace for 20 to 30 minutes and I'm really starting to sweat. How much trouble am I in? I had just been swindled. Now what? Is my car going to be impounded indefinitely? Was he going to pull me out of the car and shoot me? No, too many witnesses. Am I off to jail? I'm too young and pretty. I'll never survive. And just as I'm ready to melt into a puddle into the floorboards, the cop walks over. He says to me, I talked to Eddie. I'm swimming. Who the fudge muppets is Eddie? He said he'd cover you, but you should call him next time. What? Oh, my insurance agent. Good God, that's what he took so long. He was trying to give me a break by getting my insurance on board with my stupid stunt. The cop leans down to eye level. I'm sure I sunk in the seat as he put his serious face back on and brought out the .50 cal finger. You take this car directly home. I don't ever want to see it on the streets again. It was a quick yes sir, and I was off like a shot. Made it home without further incident, but it was back to the rag. I still needed a car. Pizza wasn't going to deliver itself tonight, so I started calling the remaining numbers on the list. I got a call back for a car I didn't want, but it was in my budget. Just. He gave me the address, and it was in Ogden. Now, for those of you not in Calgary, Ogden is one rung lower than Marlborough. My stomach sinks. As I'm getting ready to view the car, I get another call back. They tell me the car that I inquired about was sold. Darn. But they had just got in a nice Chevy Sprint. Those scummy codfish. I gave them a piece of my mind, as they had just scammed me, and I was having a bit of a stressy afternoon. I head out in the car that I was just told to never drive again, under threat of whatever he could dream up. I believe him, but I also have to solve this problem. So off I went, anxiety burning a hole in my stomach. I get to the address, and it's in a pretty scary area. I meet the owner, and he's a pretty nice guy. We go out to the alley where the car has been sitting, and I'm in for a new set of firsts. I start approaching the car, and it's been hit from behind. Bumper cover is still there. We walk around to the front, and wow, it was literally hit by a garbage truck. The hood had a single crinkle, and it was lifted about a foot above where it should lay flat. There's no rad panel or front bumper, and the top rad bracket is pushed in. I was running out of time. I asked to start it, she fired right up. Like new, even though there was close to 300,000 kilometers. Unfortunately, he wasn't moving on price. $450 for a high mileage, heavily damaged, 2-liter 5-speed 4-door Honda Civic with a 4-stage manual choke. I grabbed my plate and paperwork, and we fill out some new paperwork. I asked him if he wanted a convertible for free, and the poor bastard took it. And that's the story of my 4-hour car, and my only convertible. The Civic was my first Japanese car, and started my love for them. It was also my first and only car to have a manual choke. It was convenient, as I didn't have to get out and manually close the valve. The Civic goes on to be one of my more reliable cars, with some of my more ratchet fixes. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm just starting out, and I could really use some help getting these stories to a wider audience, so if you could subscribe and share with your car friends, it would really be appreciated. If you want to follow this car on Instagram, it's for some reason my most popular car. It's in the link below, Princess Adora. And I have 2 choices for next week's story: 2 a.m. hitchhiker or drunk driver saves me. Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.